What's up, my dude? So in this video I'm going to teach you how to make a very not really advanced but more intricate self-love pouch. This is going to have a base of being a spell jar. It's also going to have additional ingredients, and then all of this will be placed into a bag that's like this. This is the general shape that I'm going to be going for the bag, but I'm actually going to make it out of some different fabric. But it's just something that will be able to not only hold the jar, but also hold any additional ingredients that I add to it, and also any crystals. So the first thing you're going to want to do if you're going to make something like this is to determine what size jar you need. Now this is going to be for me to wear on a pretty regular basis, so I want it to be small enough to carry, but also not heavy enough to where I'm going to either forget it or I'm not going to want to carry it. So this is a simple size. If you want to go bigger, I would say maybe the biggest size you would want to go for something like this will be something of this size. This is for holding essential oils, so it's not the same type of jar, but this is the probably largest that I would go for. Like I said, if you are going to be placing this into a pouch, your pouch will need to be significantly larger than this to not only be able to hold it, but also to allow for seam allowance if you're going to be sewing it, or however you're going to be binding it. So I would suggest starting with something smaller. This is also something that you can focus your intentions more on, rather than trying to just fill up a larger bottle with extra ingredients. You can really focus on your intentions and focus on what you're adding into the spell jar. If you are going to be creating something like this, I would suggest you use a larger needle. This is something that I use not only for sewing, but just for any sort of crafting like this, because if you want to, you can attach some string to this. You can wire on some of the beads like I did to this one, and then you can just place it through, tie it around, and then you can cut this off and leave the excess inside of it. But yeah, that's just something you can do if you are creating a custom bag. If you want to, you don't necessarily have to. You can also use any sort of charms. This is a simple heart, another wooden heart, another silver heart, as you can tell, self-love, so hearts. Also a black rose for any sort of added effect that you would want to add for a rose. There's multiple different ways that you could add a black rose to your effects, so not really going to go into example. And then just something reflective, or maybe just something that looks pretty. It all just looks pretty at the end of the day, because you're making it. But if you are going to be having this be functional also, if you are someone that wants to have the function follow the form, then that's something that you can also focus on, is the pouch itself, and then anything else extra is really just whatever. As for filling the actual pouch, like I said, I'm going to be creating a new one, so I'm not going to show you on this one. But as for creating the pouch, if you would like to add any sort of fillings, you need to make sure they're small enough to fit in. So these are some amethyst and clear quartz crystals that you can add to this. You want to make sure if they can fit into the spell pouch, then you either have some way of securing it so it will not fall out, or just make sure they're large enough to where in your securements they won't fall out at all. Or it's like this, where it's very difficult and not as easy to just slide through. That depends on the crystal and also depends on the pouch you make, but keep that in mind when you are creating this. If you are using crystals or any objects that you want to place into the bag, make sure there's a way that they can't fall out. You could also just fold this over, pin it in the middle like that. But yeah, but now that you know the basics of what we're going to do, also I don't think I need to mention this, but pink is for self-love and also attracting any sort of positivity or growth towards you, so that's what we're going to be using to seal the jar after we create the pouch. But now I'm going to create the pouch and show you exactly how I'm going to be doing it. the second part of this video. So I'm going to be cutting out this fabric. This is good for any sort of self-love or reflection. If you would like to, you could also use pink. That's a bit more of the self-love, but this is more of the stronger self-love, or a bit more strength or resilience, whatever you want to work with. This is just what I have. If I had a pink fabric, I would probably use it, but this is what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be doing the same shape that I did with this. So it's just two rectangles that have been cut out and then sewn along the edge. For this specific pouch, I am going to add a black layer in between just to add a bit of structure, and then I'm going to be using red thread. Now this thread is something that can be used for any sort of binding, but it also is good for any sort of strengthening. So if you want to have strength around your self-love, or if you want to protect your self-love or anything like that, you can use the red cord for that. left the spell jar into the pouch. Most of the water has evaporated, so it's really just the materials built up and then some of the oils are added into it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch this out, sort of loosen it up a little bit. The edges are pretty hard from it drying, and then the base is still pretty wet. So I'm going to stretch this out a little bit, and then I'm going to insert the jar. I'm going to seal around the top just to keep it in place. I'm not going to sew it completely because I do want to be able to recharge this jar and recharge the materials, but I'm going to seal around the top of it. And then I might cut around the edge, I might just leave it. This will be in a pocket, so it doesn't need to be a perfect heart, but just to help the shape a little bit, I'm going to cut around it. As you can see, the heart is still mostly there from the black. I just need to adjust the stitching. It's a bit stiffer over here because of the drying, so just need to flatten everything out, and then I'll be able to insert the spell jar, and then we could do the final enchant over this so you can see how to do everything.